Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Got a great movie to talk about today. But before we jump into it, I do want to discuss my release schedule. My original plan was to release every day, but I'm very tired, and I do have some homework. It's not like a lot of homework. Like, I'm sure high schoolers have more work than I do, but I want to sleep more. So I'm going to release every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for you guys. Because I don't have a lot going on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so my plan is I can film on Tuesdays and Thursdays and then release them on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. There will be the occasional time where I do release a Saturday video, depending on if a movie comes out Friday and I watch it and I want to talk about it. My goal is to be on top of things so that when something comes out, I'm like right there, like, you know. That way, you can understand what the movie's about and decide if you want to see it before you go see it. Most of the time at this point, it's just going to be online anyway, like on Netflix, so it's not going to be that much of a big deal. I'm also filming these a lot farther in advance, so if for some reason you're seeing something that you dropped in the comments and it's not popping up, like it's not coming up yet, it might be a month or two. I'm filming these in advance so that way I can get some rest, and then if I miss a day of filming, it's not a huge big deal. Regardless, I hope you like the content, and I hope you continue watching. Make sure you subscribe and like the video for more. So today we're going to be talking about Iron Man 2. Now, this movie came out in 2010, and it was directed by Jon Favreau again, which I love Jon Favreau. For those of you who don't know who that is, here's a picture of him. He played Happy in the series, in the MCU. But we don't really get to see a lot of Happy until, actually, believe it or not, Spider-Man Homecoming. But that's way down the road. It was written by Justin Theroux. And let's talk about the movie. Let's jump right into it and discuss how I thought the movie went and what they could have done better, what they could have done worse. So let's talk about directing first. I think that the choice to do Whiplash for this movie was a good choice. And I think they introduced it very well. Because in the beginning of the film, we see Whiplash, mourning his father. And he decides that it was all Tony's fault for some reason. It's never really quite explained very well. But the idea is he goes after Tony Stark, and he tries to kill him, I guess because maybe one of his rockets killed his father. It's never really quite explained. You're just kind of meant to assume that he doesn't like him. And essentially he goes after him, and the Hammer Industries, run by Justin Hammer, basically hires him to build him an Iron Man suit because he knows that Whiplash can build one because he built his own little Whiplash suit. He doesn't actually end up building one for him. He actually builds a bunch of robots that are sent to kill Tony Stark in the end of the film. And that's basically the whole film. I can explain the whole film in about 2 seconds. It's like, bad guy tries to fight Iron Man wins. Which I guess is the setup for every film in the MCU, which is fine. I mean, I'm not going to complain about, the structure of them. I do like them. I do enjoy the films. This one I thought was a little slow. It wasn't my favorite. I think the only issue with this movie was the pacing. It was a little long for me because we would start out in the beginning and we learn about the bad guy, which is cool. I like it when bad guys have a backstory and a history. I didn't need this one. I didn't feel bad for him at all. In fact, if anything, I kind of felt bad for Tony because it really wasn't his fault that his father had died. But I think that, like Thanos, for instance, we get to see him over multiple movies, and you get to learn him, and at some points, you almost sympathize with him. You're like, man, this guy, he has an idea, and it's not the worst idea. Just going about solving it is the only issue. Whereas with Whiplash, we see him for like half of a film, and he's gone, never talked about again. Which is something that I think that maybe the MCU kind of has a problem with, and it's something that can be fixed, but I understand why it's not being fixed. And that is that every villain is only really there for one movie, and then they're gone. Which is why, Infinity War and Endgame were such big deals, because, we had Thanos in each and every one of them, and we got to connect with the character more, and we really knew that this was going to be a big battle. And with this one, it's like, well, Iron Man will just stump this guy into the ground. There's no reason he wouldn't. So I think it's interesting that they choose to do that. But I can see that they're starting, particularly with Spider-Man, and they're bringing characters back because we can see in the Morbius trailer, which actually isn't in the MCU, but it is a Marvel movie. We see the Vulture appear in the trailer, and that makes us believe that maybe they're actually building a universe for Spider-Man in both Fox and Disney, which they both are own each other now, which is dumb. Whatever. I don't know if it's going to be MCU canon or not, but I'm going to watch it anyway because I'm excited about it. But they might be doing something with the Sinister Six as well. Sorry about that. And I think that would work really well because then we will know all the characters. They would have been in multiple movies by that point, and it'll be a big climactic film like Endgame was. Whereas this one, it's like there's no lead up. It's just all of a sudden there's a bad guy who doesn't like Tony, which is, again, fine. It's a good formula. I'm still going to enjoy the movie, but it kind of dragged. I didn't really enjoy it. One of the big things about most movies for me is the acting. If the acting in a movie is bad, I am distracted the whole time. So it's important to me that they are good. And in this film, they are very good. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr. as Tony is perfect. Literally the perfect casting choice. No one else can play Iron Man. I'll be very mad if they bring Iron Man back and they don't invite Robert Downey Jr. Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper. We get a little bit more Pepper in this film. We still don't get a ton. I like Pepper Potts as a character. I think she's really great. And we really get to see her shine in the third movie. And even a little bit, we get to see a little bit of her and how she works later on in the films. Like, you get to see her in Infinity War, and even in Endgame, we get to see her a little bit. And it's really, really exciting to see that they were able to continue Pepper Potts without necessarily having to be Iron Man's, girlfriend. It's really exciting to be able to see her as Pepper Potts, and it's really cool that they were able to do that. Don Cheadle as Rhodey. Let's discuss this for a quick second. So this is his first film as Rhodey, because he took over the guy who played him last time. And Don Cheadle does a wonderful job. I think he's great. I don't like Rhodey very much, but I like Don Cheadle, which is really funny to me, because, I didn't like Rhodey at all in the first film, just at all. I liked him in this film because they play more to the fact that, just because Rhodey is higher up in the ranks than Tony doesn't mean he's not his friend. Because we constantly see Rhodey trying to help Tony, even though he really shouldn't be because he's higher up in rank. And so I think it's really cool that we get to see that, and Don Cheadle does it really, really, really well. I think it's a little unfortunate that we don't get to see a lot of Rhodey in other films. That being said, I wouldn't want a Rhodey solo film. I think that would just be Iron Man. So I guess I can see why we don't get a lot of, War Machine or the Iron Patriot, depending on what movie you're watching and who's talking. But he was really good. Very solid work. Mickey or Mikey, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Rourke plays Whiplash. He's great. He's hilarious. I think he speaks Russian in the film. I wonder if he actually speaks Russian in real life. Probably should have researched that. But anyway, he was really good, really, really fun. I actually really enjoy films when they put other languages in there and give me subtitles to read. I love subtitles, for one. But for two, I think that it's important that we understand that he speaks a different language. It wouldn't make sense if he only spoke English the whole time, but he lives in, Russia or wherever. So I think it's really cool that they did that. And they do that a lot throughout the films. Even in, Thor: The Dark World, when they're speaking Elvish, we get subtitles for that, which is really cool because they wouldn't speak English. They wouldn't understand it as well as they would Elvish. They would only speak English if there were other people that spoke English there. But because most of the time it's only the Dark Elves. Anyway, that's down the road. That's 5 movies away. A couple quick shout-outs to discuss. Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer was hilarious. I loved the character. I almost wish I got a little bit more of that because anytime he was on screen, it was awesome because he's basically coaxing Whiplash into building the thing, but he's also being really nice about it. He's like, listen, I'll get you anything you want. And Whiplash is like, I want my bird. And Justin's like, what? My bird. I want my bird. And it's really funny because he's got this bird at home that he loves. And so Justin Hammer's character brings him a different bird, and he's like, that's not my bird. And it's really funny. That whole sequence is really funny. I'm really glad they kept it in because I think that if they had to cut more off the film, they probably would have cut that, which is ridiculous. They should have cut some more of the backstory or whatever. I'm glad they kept that in because I think it was a welcome humor because I like that humor. It's funny to watch another character struggle over another character's understanding. It's really funny to me. And Scarlett Johansson, of course, as Black Widow. For the first time, we actually get to see that, and it's really cool because she's great. Scarlett Johansson's really, really great. She's great as a character. She's great as an actress in general. I'm really excited for the upcoming Black Widow solo film. I will be taking a few minutes to discuss the new MCU lineup that just came out. I think it would have been yesterday by the time this film comes out. And I'm excited to talk about it. I'm really interested in what's going to happen. But we'll get there in a second. First, I want to give you guys my rating of the film. And I'm going to give this film a B-. And the reason for that is quite simple in the fact that it wasn't an A because it was slow and I didn't like the main villain very much, which I've discussed before in previous videos and I will discuss farther in future videos. I don't like not liking the villain. I love it when I'm like, oh, I like the villain. I don't want to see him die either. Like with Thanos. I mean, obviously Thanos is an awful person, but, Titan. But, you liked him because he had an idea and he stuck with it and he understood that what needed to happen, which it didn't. But you could see why he thought that, which is really cool because I like being able to see both sides and understand both sides. I mean, obviously I was rooting for the Avengers, but it was really interesting to be able to like that character. I just didn't like Whiplash at all. I was like, this is kind of boring. Which is why I gave it the B-. The acting was really, really good. If the casting decisions were different, I probably wouldn't have given it a B-. But so that's the film. Now I real quick want to talk about the MCU lineup, which has been morphing and changing over the past 7 or 8 months because of COVID-19. But Black Widow was supposed to release, I believe, in May of 2020. Then they pushed it back to November. So I was very excited to see that next month. And then they changed it yesterday to May of 21. So the first big MCU film that comes out, well, the first MCU period film that comes out, is going to be on May, I think it's the 7th of 2021. Which is a long time away. I'm very sad. I really, really like the MCU, and it's frustrating to not be able to get more of it, which is why I'm binge watching all the movies and all the TV shows so I can be fresh for you guys and make sure that I'm giving the correct ratings of what I actually believe based on my thoughts right now. But that's the first change. The second big major change was for the Eternals. The Eternals was supposed to come out, I believe, in May of next year, which is where Black Widow is now. So you would think they would push it back to the July slot, and then they would have put Shang-Chi down to December. But instead, they switched them. So Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is actually going to come out in July of 21, and the Eternals got pushed back basically a full year, back all the way to December of next year, which is ridiculous. It's crazy. I think I understand why, though. I mean, just look at the cast for the Eternals. I mean, there's just lots of big names, and there's like so many main characters. So I can understand why that movie was probably a little bit more difficult to film than Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which I don't know too much about, except we get to see the actual Mandarin, which is really exciting. We'll get to that in a little bit when I discuss Iron Man 3 and how disappointed I was. But that's the movie side of things. I am going to be doing TV show reviews, starting with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1, which should come out in a couple weeks. And I've been keeping up with the Marvel Cinematic TV universe, which supposedly takes place in the same universe, but they can't show characters because of rights and stuff, blah, blah, blah. But regardless, that film, the series, they switched up a couple things. So WandaVision is still supposedly coming out in December of this year, which I'm very excited about because I'm very confused. I have my own theories. I'm not going to discuss them here. Maybe if you guys want a discussion of what I think is going to happen in WandaVision, put it down in the comments below, and I'll make sure to get that out for you guys if you want me to discuss what I think is going to happen based on the trailer. If not, totally understand. It's only my opinion. But that comes out first, which is interesting because The Falcon and the Winter Soldier was always slated to come out first. They just continued principal shooting. They just started picking it back up on like the 22nd of September, I think I read, which is interesting because I thought they had already finished filming, but I guess they didn't. And I'm thinking that might be because there's going to be more action sequences in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and there's also probably going to be a lot more special effects in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is why I'm thinking it's going to take a little bit longer for them to release that, and Marvel can't afford to go a year without releasing something. So I think that's why they're going to push WandaVision forward, which I'm really hoping doesn't decrease the quality of it because it almost feels like they might be rushing it. I hope they aren't. The trailer looks really good. I'm really excited about it, so we'll get there when we get there. But I am still pretty far away. I'm still on Iron Fist Season 1, which is like 2014 or something like that. But I'm catching up. I'm watching all the films, all the series in order. I've already watched all the films like 700 times. I've watched some of the series, but not all of them. It's taken me like 2 months to get through Iron Fist Season 1 because I moved to college, and I'll talk about Iron Fist later, but I think that the show's really boring so far. So it's really hard for me to get through. I'm going to try to push through it and get through it so I can move on. But anyway, that's something to look forward to in the future. But regardless, make sure you subscribe and like the video and comment down below if you want me to discuss my thoughts on the WandaVision trailer. And comment down below if there's anything you want me to review. I'll review anything you put down in the comments, so make sure you do that. And I will see you guys in the next video.